What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over 5 things that worked in Madden 18 that will no longer work in Madden 19. I did the same exact video last year. It's actually my most viewed video on the channel, so it was obviously something that people enjoyed, so I wanted to do one for this year as well. 5 things that were overpowered or maybe glitchy last year that you were tired of dealing with. I can confirm that these 5 things from my time playing the game will not work in Madden 19. If this is your first time on the channel and you want more Madden 19 news or tips and tricks when the game comes out, definitely hit the subscribe button below and turn the bell icon on so that you don't miss any uploads. So let's get right into it. Number 1 on the list is going to be something that kind of popped up late in the year, was started to become a real pain, and it is known as the RAC Swerve. Now, if you remember in Madden 17, the regular swerve was a big deal, and that was one of the things that I covered on my list last year. Fast forward to Madden 18, second half of the year, the RAC Swerve became a thing, and you'll see clips of these things playing in the background. This is Madden 18 footage. What the RAC Swerve was, basically, if you put a guy on a fade, a fast, tall guy, and you high point past him the ball down the field, you could hold the RAC catch button, and he would get this glitchy animation where he would kind of I don't even know what the proper word for it is, but he would kind of just animate to the ball in such a way that your defender really had almost no shot of defending the pass. Much like the swerve from last year, it was harder to pull off last year, and also harder to defend. This year was a little easier to pull off and maybe a little bit easier to defend, but it was still a problem if you had guys like Randy Moss or Harold Carmichael in Madden Ultimate Team. It was very hard to stop. This will no longer work this year because when you high point pass the ball now, you can no longer RAC swerve. You have to aggressive catch a high point pass now. If you throw a high point pass and you try to RAC catch it, your guy simply will not animate, which is a really good change by EA to completely remove any possibility of this becoming another threat this year. So for those of you that have played probably mostly MUT, you might have saw this happen. That will not be in the game anymore. Number 2 on the list, things that worked last year that will no longer work in Madden 19, is the air truck. If you don't know what the air truck was, basically, if you just spammed the truck stick with your running back, a lot of times you would cause the defenders to dumb out. Like, your whole defense would react when you would go to truck the ball. Even if you were, guys that were, 20 yards away from you sometimes, they would still react when you went to truck the ball. They would kind of dumb out or glitch out. And this oftentimes led to runs that, should have been no gains or should have been short gains, going for huge runs and sometimes touchdowns, because when you would, perform the truck stick, sometimes they would dumb out and they kind of just stop pursuing the ball carrier for that split second, but that leaves you just enough time, especially if you have a fast running back, that leaves you just enough time to kind of, take off while they're dumbing out and go down the field. This was not the biggest issue in the world. It was annoying and it was a problem. We've seen worse things, but it definitely, especially towards the end of the year, started becoming more of a problem, and that is fixed now. When you go to truck now, you're not going to see defenders dumbing out all the time. In fact, if you try to truck before you make contact, it's going to actually hurt you more than it helps you, whereas last year, you could just spam the truck stick, and a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of the times, the defenders would just dumb out for some reason, which was really bad. Number 3 on the list, things that worked really good last year that will not work that good this year, is the halfback wham. So many people are just fed up with the halfback wham. It was really good run in Madden 17. It was even better in Madden 18. The deuce close formation as a whole, which where this run is based out of, was just, an annoying formation to stop for most people, and the wham being one of the biggest parts of that. The motion block that you get on the play just seals the edge almost perfectly every time. If you don't have the perfect defense called, you're probably going to get gashed for, consistent yardage up and down the field, especially with the threat of everything else that the formation provides. This year in Madden 19, the wham has definitely been nerfed. The motion on the block is very slow now. It doesn't get an automatic seal every time. Sometimes it still does, but whereas the last couple of years it was just automatic. The motion would be super quick, and it would get the trap block on the defensive tackle or whoever the defensive lineman was every single time. It's just not going to happen this year. The wham is still going to be a run that can work, but it's just nowhere near as overpowered as it has been the last 2 years. So this shouldn't be something that you see spammed a whole bunch online now. It shouldn't be something that you see just run down your throat. you definitely should be okay with this run this year. So I know that's going to make a lot of people happy because that was one of the most annoying plays the past couple years for a lot of people. So number 3, halfback Wham. Number 4 on the list is another big one I think people are going to be happy with, and that is gun bunch. Gun bunch has been pretty nerfed. Now, does that mean that people won't find a way to maybe make it successful again, to maybe make it glitchy again? We don't know. That kind of remains to be seen, but I'm going out on a limb here and going to say that gun bunch, a formation that has dominated the game for, most of the last decade, has finally really just been nerfed. And I'm not really a big fan of when EA nerfs formations. I'm more of a fan if they, make the defense react better, but they definitely did change a lot of things about gun bunch this year. They took out, some of the popular plays. The dig halfback out is no longer in the game. They changed up some of the routes, like on PA post, one of the most deadly plays out of this formation. They changed up the routes on them and just made them not as good. The C route is not as good. They changed the post route. Corner strike, they kind of changed a little bit of that play, how the corner route runs and things like that. So I think they were just so tired of seeing people just spam this formation, especially in the competitive scene. It was, 80 to 90% of people ran gun bunch, and they definitely, tried to nerf it, and it appears that they have. So if you're tired of seeing gun bunch, I ran it a lot as well. If you're tired of seeing that online, I think you're going to be okay this year. People are going to have to find something else to spam, of course. People always will. But gun bunch should be something that you don't have to worry about at all anymore. And number 5 on the list is going to be another big thing, and that is overpowered jukes and spins. That was another thing that was very OP in Madden 18. You can juke or spin and fake a defender out pretty much every single time. It was extremely easy to do. Even if you were a user defender and you were in good position, you would still get faked out and kind of just fall on the ground. You're not going to have to worry about that this year. That is fixed. If you are the user defender and you are in good position, people will not be able to juke and spin you and make you just dumb out and fall on the ground with a terrible animation. That will not happen no more this year. Now, if you allow the computer to pursue the ball carrier, they can still get faked out pretty easily. Not as bad as last year. They're still a little bit better as well, but overall, computer players are still pretty easy to juke and spin, at least half the time. So if you're allowing that to happen, then yes, you will still get faked out a good bit. But if you are the user, if you are in front, if you're strafing, if you're going for that conservative tackle, you're not going to get faked out anymore unless the guy you're using has a very, very, very bad pursuit rating. I'm talking like a pursuit rating in the 60s or like low 70s. Then he can still get faked out if you're going up against an elite ball carrier. But if you just have a decent defender, just an average guy, someone in the 80s of pursuit, and you're in good position, you won't get faked out anymore. So that is another big one that they addressed this year, and I'm glad they did because, last year you could just run a stretch, you could run a toss, and it's like you have that one-on-one on the outside. You were almost guaranteed to make that guy fall every time, and then in a lot of situations you would take that run for a touchdown because that was the last line of defense on the outside. So those are the 5 things. The 5 biggest things, I tried to condense this list down and say, what are the 5 biggest things that were OP or that worked really well last year that annoyed people that I can safely say won't be an issue this year. And these are the 5 that I came up with. If there's any other certain things that were overpowered last year that you want to know about, just drop them in the comments below, and I'll answer the question for you, because there are a lot of other things that were nerfed as well, but I just felt that these were the top 5 that needed to be talked about. So yeah, if there's any other thing you want to know about, like the halfback pitch, or just other formations, deuce close as a whole, things like that, drop it in the comments below and I will definitely try to answer many of them as I can. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, as always, just drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.